Hello, everyone. Welcome to the News Browse News broadcast. According to a report by the Canadian press, Canadian Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre claimed that support for Quebec's separatism was wiped out under former Prime Minister Stephen Harper's Conservative government. However, polling data indicates that the separatist movement has maintained steady support for decades. Poilievre argued that recent separatist sentiments in both Alberta and Quebec are being fueled by the current Liberal government's policies. In response, Bloc Québécois House leader Christine Normandin pointed out that Quebec voters actually elected a sovereignist Parti Québécois provincial government in 2012 while the federal Conservatives were still in power. Normandin suggested Poilievre made these comments to avoid questions regarding what would constitute a clear majority in a potential Alberta separation referendum. The Bloc Québécois is introducing a bill to repeal the Clarity Act, which grants the House of Commons the authority to determine the clarity of referendum questions and results. Poilievre repeatedly declined to state his position on the Clarity Act when questioned by reporters. According to a report by the Canadian press, Metro Vancouver will impose Stage 3 water restrictions starting next Monday, June 8, 2026. The move comes after early enforcement of Stage 2 bans, which began on May 1, failed to sufficiently curb the region's high water consumption. Under the stricter Stage 3 rules, all residential lawn watering, including the use of sprinklers and soaker hoses, will be banned, along with filling pools and washing vehicles, with only a few minor exceptions. Metro Vancouver Chair Mike Hurley explained that the tougher measures are necessary due to a combination of warm and dry weather, an exceptionally low snowpack, and ongoing construction of a water supply tunnel in Stanley Park. The region's snowpack levels are currently at less than 15% of their historical average. Currently, residents are using approximately 1.2 billion liters of water daily, with consumption expected to spike by 50% as warm summer weather sets in. Officials hope the new restrictions will keep daily usage below 1.4 billion liters to protect and preserve the water supply through July. According to a report by the Canadian press, Canada's military police watchdog is calling on the federal government to reform the law to grant her office stronger investigative powers. Tammy Tremblay, the chair of the Military Police Complaints Commission, made this appeal for the third consecutive year in her annual report released on Tuesday. Tremblay stated that her office's ability to conduct thorough investigations has been significantly hampered in recent years. She attributed this to increasingly entrenched institutional resistance and inadequate investigative authority, particularly at a time when conduct complaints against military police are on the rise. To address these challenges, Tremblay launched public interest hearings for the first time in over a decade to probe serious allegations of misconduct. Last year, she wrote to Defense Minister David McGuinty, proposing a series of legal reforms to expand her office's subpoena powers to obtain critical information. The legislation governing the watchdog has remained unchanged since its inception in 1999. According to newswire.ca, Canadian food and pharmacy retail giant Metro Inc. has announced a major executive succession plan. Eric Flèche, who has led the company as president and chief executive officer for over 18 years, will retire at the end of the 2026 fiscal year. The board of directors has named Marc Giroux, the current chief operating officer, as his successor. Giroux's appointment as president and CEO will become effective on September 27, 2026, at which point he will also join the board of directors. To ensure a seamless transition, the board plans to appoint Mr. Flèche as the new chairman of the board. Pierre, the current chairman, will transition to the role of vice chairman and lead director. Marc Giroux joined Metro in 2009 and has held various senior leadership positions. He currently oversees the company's Ontario and Quebec food divisions, supply chain, and digital marketing strategies. Metro Inc. is a leading retailer in Quebec and Ontario, with over $22 billion in annual sales and a workforce of more than 97,000 employees. An Indian trucker on trial in Canada for allegedly smuggling approximately $2 million worth of cocaine across the Canada-U.S. border claims he was entirely unaware of the illicit cargo. According to a report by Radio-Canada International, the trial for 33-year-old Ranjit Singh, who resides in Canada on a work permit, commenced in Sarnia Superior Court of Justice. Singh is charged with importing cocaine and possession for the purpose of trafficking. Border Services officers discovered 40 kilograms of cocaine inside 2 Home Depot boxes within Singh's trailer during a secondary inspection at the Blue Water Bridge crossing in April 2024. While the defense concedes that the drugs were present in the truck, they argue Singh had no knowledge of them. However, the prosecution presented evidence showing that Singh's truck made a brief stop at a Home Depot store in Illinois just hours before crossing the border. In addition, banking records show he made a purchase there, and investigators found an unused flattened Home Depot box under his cab mattress. The trial is scheduled to continue for 3 weeks. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.